Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, before we start everything, I'll just give a couple of seconds to allow most of you guys to come in before we start the business of the day. But even as you guys keep coming in, just want to use this opportunity to say a shout out to you. How have you guys been? Today is Wednesday. How is your weather? Hope things are moving on smoothly with each and every one of you. I can see a couple of familiar names on my attendees list here. You guys are welcome once again. Those I'm sure some people should be on their break this moment, while others still working. Those working remotely. Hey, how has it been? Hope your pets and the the internet connectivity has not been messing a lot of things up. Okay, I see. I've got a couple of quite a number of people here. We'll just start even as the rest keep joining us. Good afternoon once again. For those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gagba Esahaya, and I'm the training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no-cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on creating your ideal buyer persona to help you capture digital marketing success. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you to drop your question on the Q&A and the chat box. And a copy of the PowerPoint and the link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Today is indeed a great day. The main reason why I said that is because I've got two great speakers here that will unleash what it takes for you to build an ideal buyer persona to help you capture digital marketing. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome Wesley and Cook, even as they take over the floor for the presentation. You're welcome.
Garba, thank you, my friend. Happy Wednesday, everybody. What an absolute honor, privilege. It's a beautiful day out here where I'm at. Hope it's a beautiful day where you are. I see some familiar names here in the crowd. We have my dear friend John. I see Catherine. Marsha's in the house. Richard Cartwright is always with us here. Tom, Nick, thank you guys for joining us. I want to introduce you to my dear friend, my bestie here, Wesleyan. Happy afternoon to you. How are you?
Hello, I am doing delightful. It is a wonderful Wednesday.
Awesome. So, hey, you know what, Wesley? I just noticed it says Kurt. So don't, guys, I'm the guy with no hair. Wesley.
Oh,
beautiful.
I clicked the wrong one. Let me change my name.
No worries. I don't want anybody to get thrown off here. So guys, this is Wesley Greer, Kurt Anderson here. So first off, I want to give a huge shout out to the Temple University Small Business Development Center. Guys, wherever you are coming from, I noticed some of you guys are coming from outside of the Philadelphia area. If you are in the Philadelphia area, please connect with Garba and the amazing, incredible team at the Small Business Development Center. Their services are completely free and confidential. We're at whatever part of Pennsylvania, or you're coming at us from another state, there is an SBDC near you. Their services are phenomenal. Again, free and confidential. Today, we are here to help you diagnose and identify who is your ideal buyer. So let's no further ado. Let's just dive right in. Oh man, hang on one second. My program got a little crazy here. Hang on one second, Wesleyan. So Wesleyan, while we're going at it, here we go. Let's give a little thank you to everybody. And let's do a little intro to yourself, Wesleyan. Share a little bit about what's going on with Wesleyan. You are a recovering chemist. What's going on in your world?
Thank you, Kurt. I'm so excited to be here with you guys all the way from Houston, Texas. I am a recovering chemist that found my way into sales, and I love everything about sales and selling, as well as process and breaking things down into little tiny bite-sized pieces so that people can really understand how to use the information that we share, as well as implement it to grow their sales and their revenues.
Absolutely, guys. So, hey, this is Wesleyan's LinkedIn profile. I dropped her LinkedIn profile in the chat box. Strongly encourage, welcome you guys to connect with Wesleyan. She is absolutely awesome. Yours truly, my name is Kurt Anderson. I'm coming to you live from little tiny Lakewood, New York. I'm an e-commerce evangelist for manufacturers, girl dad. I wrote a little goofy book. My mom says it's a wonderful book called Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. That's our goal today for all of us, to stop being the best kept secret. Now, Wesley, we have a fun training program that we call it Do It With You. We love teaching we work with a lot of manufacturers, industrial B2B companies, other entrepreneurs. We'd like to describe it as we want to teach them how to fish. What are we trying to teach them how to fish with? And what are we doing here?
So really, when we think about traditional training, I love saying that it doesn't really work, because you can't train somebody in a vacuum and expect them to go implement all of the things that you have told them to do, and say, hey, this is it, it works. So what we do in our done with you sessions is we teach a little bit, then we allow you actually in those sessions to implement some of the things that we've taught, and then we teach a little bit more. And so it's literally, we have working sessions, we do one-on-ones with clients to really help them define a lot of these areas that they get stuck, what the marketing strategy is, what their digital presence is, how to use social media tools. So that's what we do.
Perfect. So guys, what at our training, it's a 4-pronged approach that we tackle. And we're going to run through it real quick. Number one, we want to identify your ideal buyer. Today, through this program, we're going to refer to our ideal buyers as
soulmates.
So we are looking for soulmates. Number one. Number two, how do you make a great first web impression? We had a really fun program last month on that. Number three, we talk about, okay, how do we stop being the best kept secret? We want to dominate search. Number four, we want to get on the offensive. So when you go through our training process, this is the 4-pronged approach, and man, does it work great. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into identifying your ideal buyer, your persona. So here's a little bit of our agenda, if you will, for those of us taking notes. We're going to, number one, we want to talk about your so versus your so what. What on earth am I talking about? Well, you have to stick around and we'll find out. Number one. Number two, then we're going to take a deep dive into your ideal buyer. So, all right, guys, is everybody sitting down out there? Wesley, do you think everybody's ready here today?
I think so. Let's start doing it.
All right, who's out there ready to start crushing it? Guys, if you haven't come to our programs before, we try to keep our chat box super active. So how about can you give me a heck yeah? Let's see if that chat box is working. If anybody wants to drop a heck yes in that chat box, let's start crushing it. Now, Wesley, I'm not a young man. I'm an older guy. So anybody who can name this rock band? Does anybody? What I'd like to do, man, we're getting a Marshall. Let's do it. We're getting a heck yeah, a couple heck yes. So guys, I want to know who is out here today. So please, if we were at a networking event, if we were in person, we'd be high-fiving, maybe shaking hands. I'd love for you to drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box, your website. Let us know who you are, where you're at, where you're coming from. In this rock band, if anybody doesn't know, Wesley, do you know this one?
No.
It's a stumper. I'm an old dude.
I don't know this one, Kurt. You got me.
The name of the band is The Who. There you go. Nick Myers got it for me. Thanks, Nick. And my buddy
Who. Okay.
Nick Myers and John in Buffalo's here today, dude. So thanks for joining us. So Wesley, let's do this. All right, let's take a dive right in. What the buyer persona, our soulmate. Let's talk a little bit about why is understanding that buyer persona so critical here.
So one of the key things is when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Right. And so what that means is if let's say I'm in the market for a car and I know that I want a electric car, a Ram dealership, they're not going to appeal to me. They're not going to be speaking to me. But somebody who sells a Tesla or a hybrid Toyota, whatever those are, they know their ideal person. And so they know the values that person has. So if somebody's in the market for an electric vehicle, they probably are also into organic eating, probably. They probably are also into sustainability. So when you know those things, you don't just target your soulmate in one area, you go to adjacent areas. You say, okay, I know that my soulmate, I sell electric cars, but I know that they also like organic produce, right? So I have an allegiance and alliance with somebody who sells electric produce. Organic produce. And really what we want to do is we want to speak the buyer's language. So everything that we're going to talk about today is really removing your veil of who you are and really understanding who that buyer is and how you as a company can speak their language and get more raving fans.
Absolutely. So that was perfect. Let's keep it rocking. So guys, our goal with this digital transformation, obviously, we want to make that great first web impression with your website, with your LinkedIn profile, with your social media platform. So what we want to do is you want to look at all your assets, if you will, your website, social, through the eyes of your soulmate, of that ideal buyer. Okay. So Wesley, let's talk about this for a little bit. With that ideal buyer, we're talking about that semi-fictional character. Just like, what's this whole mean? Like, if this is new to everybody or anybody out there, this whole concept is new. Why are we creating a semi-fictional character?
So the thing is, you need to have a person in your brain, just like your best customer. And if Bob or Sally walked in the door or gave you a call, you know exactly what excites them. You know exactly the things that are important to them. That is what you want to have in your brain when we think about our soulmate. So I actually even like to put a little picture, an avatar picture of what this person looks like. And so as you're writing your content, as you're doing your marketing, as you're selling, as you're prospecting, you have a person in your brain, because we sell to people. Even if you're in a B2B industry, there is a person that you're physically selling to. You're not selling to Acme Corporation, you're selling to John Doe at Acme Corporation.
That's right. That's perfect. And so, like, for example, we have John, he does 3D printing. We have Marcia, she does LED lighting. So again, focus on, who is your ideal buyer, and let's keep this going further. Okay. Understanding the challenges, the frustrations, their goals. Let's just take it another step further, Wesley. Why is it so important to understand all these things with our soulmates?
Because when we step outside of ourselves and we step into the world of our soulmate, we're in their mind and we're in their world. So if I know that my soulmate has a challenge with, I don't know, let's say I am a person that's selling nanny services. Okay. So if I know that one of the challenges that my soulmate has is grocery shopping, I'm going to write content about how to make grocery shopping easier, how to make grocery shopping fun, how to order your groceries online, because people are searching for the things that keep them up at night. They're not searching for your amazing product or service. Nobody's out there saying, oh, my sales team really, really sucks. I need sales training. They're searching for how to increase revenue, how to motivate my sales team. So when you understand their challenges, their frustrations, and then their dreams, I want my sales team to hit their quota. I want to have LED lights throughout my organization so that we can lower our electricity bill. So they're not thinking I need lights. They're thinking I want to lower my electricity bill, right? And so if that's their dream or their goal, knowing those things helps. It really helps you focus your content, how you speak online, as well as how you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So guys, as I said, this is interactive. And again, we have a great crowd here. Nick, Regina, I think is Derek here today? I saw some great people. Dee Dee's here today. So thank you guys. We know that you're super busy. We never take this for granted. We are so honored that you're here with us today. Do me a favor, in the chat box, think about your ideal buyer, that soulmate. What's a challenge that they're facing right this minute? What's a challenge or frustration that they're encountering today? Just drop that in the chat box. Let's really get in the mindset of what your buyer, what that purchaser, what they're going through. Feel free to drop that in the chat box and just we'll go there for a little bit. Wesley, let's talk about why is it so important once you understand who that ideal buyer is. Talk about who are they, where are they hanging out? Why is this so important?
Yes. So when we think about who are they, in our world, people are very wary about saying he, she, or specifying who they are speaking to specifically. And if you sell a product that is gender neutral, then that's fine. But you need to understand, if I'm selling primarily to men, I know that even though I may not be in love with baseball, I can never sit through 9 innings. I'm going to watch the highlights and I'm going to be able to speak about the highlights, right, Kurt? Because I know a lot of my soulmates enjoy baseball. Right. If you know that your soulmates enjoy going to the movies, whatever they like to do, the things that they like to do, you need to be there. You don't need to be on forums where your competitors are. You need to go where your soulmates are and really thinking about who they are. Are they a 38-year-old Black female? Are they a 59-year-old white male? Like, a 59-year-old male is very different than a 20-year-old male, right? A person who is married with children is different than a single person. So you need to be specific, because the more specificity you have, the more you're able to speak their language. So we have some stuff that's popped in the chat. And so I'm curious, Victor, financial restraints. Tell us more about that. Is that what your soulmate's challenge is? Is that what their dreams are? Finding clean, natural products that are healthy for their consumers. Oh, that's good. I think your name, is it Voya? I think that's your name. So clean, natural products that are healthy for their consumers. So I would ask you, who is looking for this? Is this a business owner? Is this a mom, a dad, a grandmother? So let's get specific on finding innovative vendors that are well capitalized and have a solid supply chain. Okay, Kurt, I'll let you see if you can pick that one out. I'm a bit confused there.
I need innovative vendors that are well capitalized and have a solid, you know what, with all the supply, how I'm reading that. And this is fantastic. And then I want to give a shout out to my boy, John. He's a great dude in Buffalo. So with all the supply chain challenges where folks, who were reliable for literally decades, all of a sudden were no longer reliable. So I think what we're seeing here is finding innovative vendors who are well capitalized, meaning that they have the funding to supply when you need. Nick Myers is coming in-house. We generate more quality candidates far easier, faster, and cheaper. My ICP is small to medium employers, 15 to 150 employees with ongoing hiring challenges. I'm going to come back to John, my friend in Buffalo. Great, difficult, timely, and expensive to manufacture in small volumes. So John does a great job. He's a 3D printer. And so what he's, very laser focused on his niche. And so that's fantastic, guys. Man, this is great. Keep the comments coming. We are.
Yeah, I want to drill down into a few things that we see here. So Nick, more quality candidates, easier, faster, cheaper. So when you think about the ideal person, which one is best? Because you can't have fast, cheap, and excellent, right? And so do they want fast? Do they want cheap? Do they want easy? Think about the one that's going to resonate with them. Mm-hmm. And a 15-person company versus a 150-person employee have very different challenges, right? At 15 people, they're counting every single penny, every single hire they field. At 150, they're thinking more about turnover. So it is absolutely okay to have multiple soulmates, but at a given time, I want you to make sure that you are speaking to the one soulmate at a time, right? That is important. And Victor, you're B2C, that is fine. We're all B2C. Even though people say, oh, I'm B2B, we're all B2C. Why, Kurt? Why
because people do business with people, right? People do business with people. And we're going to take a deeper dive into this. So, man, this is phenomenal. Keep that chat box rolling. So let's keep moving forward here. So, all right, guys, ready? I know you weren't. I don't know if you're ready for this. Marsha, my friend Marsha and Derek are out there. Pop quiz. What is the enemy of great? Does anybody know what that is? What's the enemy of great? If you want to drop that in the chat box, you might get, we're at Temple University. Maybe you get a free cheesesteak if you get the right answer here. Good. Thank you, Nick. Nick got a free cheesesteak today, brother. Thank you, man. So good is the enemy of great. I'll tell you a book that was a game changer for me when I was a younger man right here. Good to Great, Jim Collins, phenomenal book, completely changed my trajectory. I just listened to Jim Collins on a wonderful podcast over the weekend. He's still, man, just top of his game. So guys, what we want to talk about, and we heard, anybody comes to our tempo programs, this, Wesleyan, they have greatness within them. So let's do this. If anybody is new to Wesleyan, man, you're not going to get enough of this. If you go on Wesleyan's profile, she has hashtag Wesleyan Wisdom. She has a wonderful podcast. You want to connect with Wesleyan on LinkedIn. You want to follow her podcast. Wesleyan, are you ready for some guys? Are you guys buckled in for this? Are you guys ready for this? Let's do it. All right. There's this thing called the entrepreneurial curse. I don't know if anybody suffers from it. I have suffered from it for years. Wesleyan, what is that entrepreneurial curse?
When you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one. And really what this means is when you think about it, when we think about large companies that are out there that have been successful throughout the years, if somebody thinks about Apple, you know exactly what you're going to get with an Apple device. Apple doesn't have the biggest market share, but they have loyal customers. People who they get iPhones, they get iPads, they get Macs, they get MacBook Airs, they get Apple Pencils, they get Apple Watches. I'm one of those people. And so they have raving fans, right? Whereas if you just say, I just sell computers, I just sell cell phones, right? That's what happened on the Windows side of the business. And if you look at Dell was like, oh, we sell computers, we sell cell phones, we're in this, and they were doing so many different things. They lost their hold on the market because Dell really started as a computer for corporations. And then they got into the space of the B2C, into the home computers. And now they're trying to climb back and get their market share because they're everything to everyone. So a lot of times we think as entrepreneurs, the people who, if I do that, I'm going to lose business. You get more business. And you get more business because they're like, if they're so good at that, I wonder if they can help me. And they'll reach out to you. They'll be attracted to the things that you do. I actually had somebody who reached out to me recently. And she said, I read your post, Wesleyan, about sales leadership. I went and I talked to my sales manager about it. And the next thing I know, she quit. I was like, wow, I don't know. So guess what? Now I need you to help me. But she's a recruiting firm. I don't typically work with recruiting firms. I don't really talk that much about recruiting firms, but she's like, your content is speaking to me. So that's what I want you to think about. Don't get so broad. And I think I mentioned that with Nick. Don't say 15 to 50, say 50 employees. And then Victor, you say you're B2C. Is it a 30-year-old male? Is it a 50-year-old female? Like, be very specific on who the person you talk to.
Yeah, I love that. I was talking to a client last week, a new prospect, and they have a pain relief product that targets expecting mothers and a number of different capacities. And I'm like, okay, well, who is that target? She said, well, all of them. And I'm like, man, that's a pretty, are they 20? Are they 40? Are they rural? Are they urban? What income level? So you really want to take a deeper dive and stretch into that. So again, as Wesleyan's saying, when you try to be everything to everyone, man, it makes our marketing efforts so challenging. It's frustrating. It's broad. So we really want to laser focus. And we have found so many companies have that online identity crisis, again, because we don't want to miss that one customer. So when you try to speak to everybody, as Wesleyan says, you become a little bit of nothing to no one. Therefore, that online identity crisis. Here's another Wesleyanism. Wesleyan, what's going on here?
Riches in the niches. So when you think about how far down can I niche? And this is actually an exercise that I like to do live, because a lot of times we're thinking about our industry. We're not thinking about the specific area within our industry. One of the ones that I love is people say, oh, I help SaaS companies. I'm like, what? That's so broad. Like, are you helping a Salesforce, a HubSpot? Or are you helping somebody who just hung a shingle today? Like, let's get really deep down. And so you have to think about the broad overarching sector, if you will. And the terms that I use, different people use them in different ways, right? So when I think about the sector, I think about manufacturing, I think about education. There are like 5 or 6 sectors out there. So it's the broad overarching area that you actually target. So you start there. Then you say, okay, let's say I'm in manufacturing, right? That's kind of like our bread and butter, Kurt. So we go for manufacturing, and then underneath manufacturing, there's like so many different sectors. So we may say chemical manufacturing, okay? So we get a little bit smaller because we're like, okay, now I'm looking only at companies that manufacture chemicals. Then we step down even further, and this is where we have a decision. We can go by region. So we can say, I only target chemical manufacturers, no matter the size, in the state of Pennsylvania. Or you can niche down even further and say, okay, so here's chemical manufacturers. What's one step down? Okay, maybe I target specialty chemical manufacturers that only produce XYZ. Or I target this person that produces this, this, and that. But that is a niche. So Nick, your question is exactly right. So if you follow my example, if I'm targeting chemical manufacturers throughout the state of Pennsylvania, what I need to know, because the key is to know more than your customer, is I need to know every single regulation, every single challenge, every single industry issue in the state of Pennsylvania that may affect my target market. I need to know all the trends. Whereas if I'm going down to a more specific area in chemical manufacturing, I need to understand those trends. I need to understand what's happening there. So when you think about your niche, you say, am I doing it regional? Am I just getting tiny, tiny, tiny? And really at the bottom of the niche is a person. Right? So we start with this broad sector of like manufacturing. And then, so I might say Pennsylvania chemical manufacturers. I'm just going to stick with that. Pennsylvania chemical manufacturers. Okay. I still need size because we can have 2 people or we can have 1,000 people. So Pennsylvania chemical manufacturers that have 50 to, we could say 50 to 75 employees because they have about the same challenges. And I sell a service. I'm going to go to Vuya. I sell a cleaning service. So which department does that roll under? That would generally run under most likely the COO, because they're going to handle janitorial services. And so the person that you're speaking to, so listen to this, guys. I am speaking to the head of janitorial services at a 50 employee chemical manufacturer within the state of Pennsylvania. How much more specific can I get? So, I think I'm going too far, Kurt. So I'm going to.
No, not at all. That dude, I don't know about everybody. How about, man, you know what? Let's have a little moment of silence right there. That was just so good, man. It's, oh my gosh, that was, man. Now I'm like speechless right now. Guys, what she just covered, this was absolutely phenomenal. I love what you just did. I did something similar, Wesley. So I saw, it's a woman who wrote a book for parents trying to educate their children on financial planning. As a matter of fact, maybe you'd want the book for the boys. I bought it so I could have it for my daughter. And this woman is phenomenal. She's out of Toronto. And she was, we were talking about, some challenges. And I'm like, okay, you're in Toronto. What if you target specifically moms in suburban Toronto? Let's go one step further. I hate the stereotype, but I know hockey is huge in Toronto. What if you went after hockey moms in suburbs of Toronto that have 13 to 15-year-olds, So again, we want to niche down, and Wesley, we love this line here, niche down till it hurts, but we want to finish that sentence because nobody wants pain. We want to hurt so good. And what we mean by that, like John, our 3D printer, well, he can't 3D print everything. He's laser focused on who he's 3D printing for, because that's when we crush it. That's when we have that recurring revenue opportunities. Customers keep coming back. Nick also dropped a question in the Q&A. So is my messaging to find channel partners, separate messaging to their SMB clients. Man, you know what, Nick, at the end, we're going to cover that. If you could stick with us for a little bit. Wesley, did you have any comments there?
We can hold it until later. But it is a great question. And I think that what I will say right now, Nick, is it is not easy to identify your buyer persona. So start with one. Get really good and understand that person. And once you have that person laid out really well, then build out the other buyer personas. And you should not have more than 3 if you're going like direct buyer personas. And I would say you only really need to have 2 to 3 on the referral partner side, because at the end of the day, if you're talking to too many people on both sides, there's going to be too much going on.
Right. That's perfect. So, all right, let's slide in here. And again, guys, if you're just coming in, I would love for everybody to connect here. Put your website. There's some awesome websites. All you guys, my friends at, we've got John in Buffalo. We've got my friends in Chicago at Louvers. We have some different companies here. Drop your website, drop your LinkedIn profile. Love to see where you're at, what you're coming from. Let's slide into a SWOT analysis. But Wesley, what I absolutely love what you do with your sales training, you have a little twist that you do on the SWOT. And what I'd like you to do is enlighten everybody. Why are we going here? Let's talk about this right now.
Yes, because everybody loves themselves so much. Kurt, don't you love yourself? I love myself too.
We all
so it's so easy to talk about what our strengths are, and then our weaknesses. We're like, weaknesses? I don't have any of those. So when we think about a SWOT analysis, we're doing the SWOT based on our competitors. So we want to find our competitors' strengths, our competitors' weaknesses, and the areas of opportunities that we have to take business away from competitors. So for instance, you may use one of your competitors may be, let's say you think one of your competitors is Amazon. Okay, we can just use the big bad wolf.
Sure.
And so if you consider Amazon a competitor, what are the strengths that they have? They have a global presence. They can deliver anything just about anywhere in the world. Now it's within 3 hours. What are some of the weaknesses that they have? There's no personal touch. If I call Amazon or I do a chat, I might get somebody in Seattle, I might get somebody in India, I might get somebody in the Philippines. I don't know who I'm talking to, and they have no clue about the product that I'm actually asking them a question about. So even though their customer service is prompt, which would be a strength, the level of depth that they have is not there. Another weakness for Amazon would be that the pricing, right? Amazon's prices may be competitive. However, they're not using any kind of local, they don't have a big local footprint. So again, a weakness of Amazon is the fact that they're not really focused on growing the local economies that they operate in. So again, if you have, and so those weaknesses of your competitors are your strengths. They should be your strengths. So that's why we do a deep dive and understand what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. If you know that Amazon is a competitor and they have a global presence, you 1 person, 2 person, 10 person shop don't need to have a global presence. You need to be the best e-commerce manufacturer in the state of Pennsylvania for your product, or in the Northeast, right? Like, so focus on where your opportunities are. And so opportunities are, okay, Amazon's really good here. They're not so good here. How can I capitalize my business and really find ways that I can infiltrate the market? So again, Amazon's like buying up all these little tiny companies, but again, they're losing that personal touch. So maybe one of the things that you say is an opportunity is you have personalized customer service. So you train everybody who handles a customer inquiry about your product so they really understand the inner workings of it and they can troubleshoot with people. So those opportunities are what you lean on. Your opportunities are the way that you improve your business. And again, it goes back into your content marketing, because those are the things you want to talk about, because those are things people care about.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. And we have a couple websites, and my friend Tom is here today from FlexSafe USA. And I love Tom. Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad that you dropped that in there, guys. Check out his website. He has this awesome product, as Wesleyan just said. And I love that example with, everybody's familiar with Amazon. Think like our friend Tom, made in USA, made in America. The customer service at Wesleyan, have your phone number on there, have your email on there. We make the product. We understand the product. We have our specs on our product. My friends that manufacture LED lighting in Chicago, they're over the top customer service opportunities that separate them from their competition. So now there's a perfect segue. So guys, since it's a Wednesday here on beautiful April, we're at Temple University having a great time with Wesleyan, my bestie, and myself. So we're going to dig into your SWOT analysis, but guess what? It's utopia here, man. You have no weaknesses right now. You have no threats. So when I said earlier, the so versus a so what, we just want to talk about your strengths and your opportunities, your strengths and opportunities. So, and what's the so what? What we want to avoid, what we want to prevent, as we try to help you stop being the best kept secret, and we go through these search strategies and they land on your website, we don't want your soulmate to say, hey, what's so special about you? We want that wow factor. Okay. So now it's a time to brag a little bit. You don't need to be modest. You don't need to be humble. You're in a safe place with your friends here. What I would love for you to do in the chat box, and I would love to see the chat box on fire, drop a note. What makes you absolutely the best? What separates you from your competition? What are your core strengths? We've got Regina. I saw Regina's in the car. Regina, thank you for joining us on your road trip today, wherever you're driving. Hope you're driving safe. Nick has Workberry. Let's see, Mumbai, if I'm saying that correctly, Naturez. I like that. So again, drop in the chat box with your company, with your product, with your service, what separates you from your customers. Drop that in the chat box. We'd also like you to think about, what are your opportunities? And as you're diagnosing, what are your core strengths? What are you best at? And your opportunities here, that's how we're going to slide into identifying your soulmate. So Wesleyan, let's talk a little bit about help folks a little bit dig into what are the core strengths and opportunities that they should be thinking about.
So the core strengths are, again, your competitors' weaknesses should be your core strengths. And so when your core strength should not be something, it shouldn't be too warm and fuzzy. It needs to be based on, I like to say, metrics, right? So we have 24-hour response time, guaranteed 3 weeks delivery, right? Engineered products designed by 30-year veteran in the industry. So again, think about the areas of weakness for your actual competitors, because those are your strengths. And then your opportunities are the areas that you're able to ease into a crowded market and really capture people. I just popped on the Workberry site, and it's a lovely website. I love your website, Nick. And it's AI powered hiring platform, right? So I'm assuming, I don't know who you consider your competitors. And really, when we think about our competitors, remember, a competitor can be doing nothing. So it can be so for you, Nick, it could be somebody continuing to use the same hiring methods. Mm-hmm. And so what are the weaknesses there? What are the opportunities that you have there?
Yeah.
So let's see. I see Michaela, create healthy, bright smiles, champions dentistry. Okay. So I want to challenge you there. I would say that most dentists in your area would say they create healthy, bright smiles. What makes your healthy, bright smiles better? Are you doing it in a faster amount of time? Do your patients have a 0 wait time? Are you using green products? What literally help people understand, get deeper. Mumbai Nature's moisture burst system, 100% vegan, 3-step system that delivers long-lasting moisture and curly hair. Okay, you got really specific. You're taking the feedback we're giving because that's good. 100% vegan.
And Wesleyan, I have to interject here. Unfortunately, Mumbai, I'm not your soulmate. So sorry about that. Wesleyan is, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So I had to say that. So we've got John, my buddy, who's a 3D printer. He's dropping a comment here. Core strength is a level of individual engineering and care. He does a phenomenal job. They've started up several years ago. They're doing a great job there. Nick's dropping some more comments here. You want to tie that in, Wesleyan, more with what Nick is saying here about his biggest challenge?
Our biggest challenge is competitor ignorance and inertia. Yeah, like, so that it is literally your competitor is the doing nothing. And so because what you're doing is so cutting edge, you have to spend so much time educating your buyer persona. And so because you are doing recruiting, I'm not sure if you target HR or if you target hiring managers, where in that company chain that you target. But if you're targeting HRs, and I think this is a good example, an HR manager has 50 million things on their checklist to do. So if you can help make their job faster, it's EEOC compliant, I'm good. A hiring manager is going to have a lot more questions because they don't do hiring as much. They don't have a million things on their plate. They just have their job. So I see, Michaela, you came back. Let's say you focus on education and overall health. So you want to say something around, because I think I've heard before, like both with eye exams and dental exams, like you can detect diabetes or high blood pressure, things like that in those areas of your body. And so it's not just about leaving with a bright smile. It's about ensuring that we're catching early detection of these long-term illnesses. So again, dig deep.
Yep. And I love Regina's got diversity and inclusion consultant. Man, God bless you, Regina. What a great career. Very admirable here. And she does more than a training program. Great job. And Voyo, is that how we're saying that? Strengths, clean beauty ingredients with 10 claims of having the healthiest ingredients in our products. Love it. So you guys are doing an awesome job. You're out there crushing it. Remember, Wesleyan, I told you we had a good crowd today. Remember?
You do.
All right, let's keep it rock and rolling. So guys, what we want to do as we're identifying and we're really resonating with our soulmates, as you're thinking about your website, your social media strategy, LinkedIn, whatever social that you're, I keep saying LinkedIn, but I want to be mindful. Maybe your soulmate is, if they're teenagers, they're hanging out on Instagram or Snapchat, or if it's, digital immigrants or older folks like myself, maybe they're hanging out on Facebook. So wherever they're hanging out, what you want to focus on, we want to have those date traits to attract our soulmates from your online perspective. Wesleyan, one word that we're looking for. What is everybody here selling today?
It's all about the trust factor. People have to go through their own journey of know, like, trust, right? So when we think about the know is us being on social media, us doing a video, us sending out, doing things like this. Like before we hopped on here, half of you guys probably had never heard of Kurt and I before. So that's the know. Now you know us a little bit. The like is, okay, I see this person on my feed. I see that they're giving reliable, they're consistent in what they do. Every single day they're posting and they're talking about the same thing. Their information they gave me is reliable because I've started to implement some of it, right? And they're very sincere in what they're giving me. So that's where we go from the know to the like. And then the trust factor is, oh, this person, I followed 2 things that they told me to do and I got some kind of results. Whether it's my hair was really dry, I ordered a little sample pack and now I have more beautiful tresses. Oh, I did a free trial. I used the AI driven software and now, man, it is working. So now I'm ready to spend money with you. Right. Yeah. So that person that just enters into the top of your funnel as a casual lurker, they've been watching you for a while. People don't just raise their hand after seeing one post on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook.
Right.
It's been a long time coming. So you have to remember that. And really, you must be consistent. Don't fizzle out. You know, you might post every day, 2 times a day, and get 1 like. In a month, you start getting 2 or 3 likes. In 6 months, you'll be up to 10 or 20. Just keep going. And remember, it's the one person. It's the 2 people. It's not the fact that you need to sell to everyone, but if you can get a client that, let's say, because I see a couple people on here who sell B2C products, and it's a hair care product, they're going to be ordering that every 3 months. So the lifetime value of that one person is so good.
And I love what you just said there. And I have to give like a little shameless plug here. So the only reason that we're here today, Wesleyan, is, you know, again, we're at our halftime show right now. So let's give a little shout out to the SBDC. Yeah. Love our friends at the Small Business Development Center here at Temple University. Guys, again, if you're coming to us if you just joined us, SBDC here at Temple is their services are completely free, confidential. I think there's around 20 centers around the state of Pennsylvania. If you're coming to us, we have a number of folks out of state. There is an SBDC near you. There's one in Rochester with our friend Tom. There's one in Buffalo with our friend John. There's several in Chicago with our friends, the Wall brothers here in Marcia. So again, check out the SBDC. But what was funny, the director at Temple University is Maura Shanker. Man, look, Maura, if you're out there, love you with all my heart. When her and I connected, she goes, Kurt, I've been following your content, dude. I've been kind of stalking you. I like what's going on here. And so we've had a wonderful program. We've been working with Temple for over a year now. And so we're very fortunate, very blessed. And so guys, there are people out there, as you're putting that content out there, they are following you, as Wesleyan just said. So, all right, guys. So we did that whole portion on what are your core strengths? Where are your opportunities? Now let's take a deep dive. Who is your soulmate? So, okay, let's take a deep dive, and hopefully this is resonating with you. And as you diagnose this, and maybe marketing is new to you, it makes your life so much easier, as Wesleyan said, when you're speaking to one person. Okay, it's going to help you with your keyword strategy. There's a few of us here going through keyword strategy programs together. When you understand that buyer, the age, the demographic, where they're at in life, it's going to make so much easier your landing pages, your website, where to market, and where these folks are hanging out. Wesleyan, let's talk a little bit about social media for a second here. When you mentioned, like, you know, hey, that 30-year-old versus the 60-year-old, you know, why is it so critical to really narrow it down to that one? It's hard to do, but why is that so critical?
So it's so important because, first of all, going back to social media strategy, like you mentioned, Kirk, if you are spreading yourself so thin and you're posting on Instagram, you're on Pinterest, you're on Facebook, you're trying LinkedIn, you're tweeting, you're spreading yourself way too thin. If I'm speaking to a 30-year-old person, 30-year-old woman about hair care, most likely that person is going to be on Instagram. And I'm just going to give you a quick little cheat sheet here about which social media is for which type of demographic, if you will. So anything B2B related, doesn't matter what it is. If you're selling to another business, even though it's a person, you need to be on LinkedIn 100% of the time. If you're in a business to consumer realm, you are focused on people that are anywhere from, you know, teenagers up to about 34-ish. That's the Instagram market. 35 and up, B2C is Facebook. Pinterest is it is what they call a visual search engine. So if you have graphic images and your social media scheduler allows you to, just pin it, because people will search for that. They go on Pinterest, they make their boards. And so that's what that's for. TikTok, Snapchat, all of those things, that's for the younger areas. And these are not hard and fast. Yes, there are people on TikTok that are selling B2B things, right? But it's a very small minority. And as you're just getting started, you can't stretch yourself too thin. So it's important to know who I'm talking to, because if I am really in this business to consumer space, if I'm selling sales training and you're on Facebook looking at pictures of dogs and cats and kittens and people having a party, and I'm like, oh, you should really get some sales training for your team because blah, 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 they're going to swipe left. I don't want to see that. It's 7 o'clock at night, right? So you want to be very focused in your message. And that's not to say, because I think there's a lot of power in LinkedIn. That's not to say if you're in a B2C market, dabbling in LinkedIn is wrong. You just can't use the same post. And that's why I say do one thing and do it well. So figure out your lane and jump in it.
Man, I love what you just said. I want to touch on that. And then we have a question from Jacqueline that I want to hit. I've noticed, I'm encouraging, again, you and I are in the B2B space. The song I'm singing to, I don't sing, nobody want to listen to that, but the crowd that I'm singing to are manufacturers. I'm noticing a lot of retailers are starting to really take advantage of LinkedIn. And why are they taking advantage? Because you know what? They don't have a lot of competition there. And you know who's hanging out on LinkedIn? What is it? 800 million people. And what are they? They are consumers. And the average income of that consumer on LinkedIn is higher than the other social media platforms. There's a florist that is absolutely crushing it. And she says almost all of her business is coming from LinkedIn because there's virtually hardly any florists on LinkedIn. There's a chocolatier that I'm familiar with. They're doing phenomenal attacking B2B because a lot of, if they're targeting financial planners, other sales reps, medical reps, pharmaceutical reps, they need gifts that they give to their clients. And that chocolatier is doing a great job on LinkedIn. So and Richard, if you're still with us, man, he is absolutely destroying it on LinkedIn. Richard, if you're here, drop your LinkedIn in the chat box, man. And I would love for everybody to connect with Richard Cartwright. Jacqueline says, when you first identify the target audience, about how long should you expect to see results? Would you say 6 months, 1 year? What do you think, Wesley?
This is really going to be dependent on your platform. Certain platforms have better organic reach than others. So on platforms like Facebook, as well as Instagram, it's going to take a little longer. I can't tell you 6 months to a year, but I would say consistency is the key. So when you're starting out, I say, if you're going to post 1 day a week, just pick the day and post every Wednesday, then go up to 2 times and 3 times. And you want to be posting 7 times per week. Every single day you should be posting. And that is the key, one important thing. So you can accelerate how fast you'll see that organic growth by more consistently posting. And I know LinkedIn should pay us, Kirk, but because I'm about to give it another plug, but LinkedIn has good organic reach. But another hack is a lot of us use social media schedulers, and that's okay. But if you're on the platform, the 30 minutes after you post, then you get more organic reach for your post. And what does that mean? That means commenting, liking, interacting with your soulmates, right? So really be on so actually say 30 minutes a day, I'm going to be on my platform, and that helps your reach. So those are just a few little tips.
That's perfect. And I want to just piggyback on that, Wesley. So what she's saying, so say, for example, whatever platform, Jacqueline, if you want to drop in the chat box, your company or, your target market, she dropped a thank you, say, if you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, Wesley and I live on LinkedIn. It's how we make a living is LinkedIn. So let's just say, I find my crowd is active at 8 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time, or whatever time zone you're in. And so you start, as Wesley was saying, you start creating that consistency. So people start seeing valuable messages from Jacqueline on Tuesdays, Tuesday tips with Jacqueline on blah, 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 blah. And they start seeing this positive value messages that you're dropping. What Wesley's saying, stick around for half an hour after. So then you can comment and you can engage with folks that are commenting on your posts. We have another, we have a note here from Nick, Wesley. Let's see. And that's the most recent one, right? Our technology platform works great for U.S. employer, 115 to 150, too broad for messaging, get niche, got it. But that means I need emails, brochures, videos meant for all various manufacturers, right? If so, what is my website, LinkedIn profile, etc. message look? Man, Nick, that's a great question there, dude.
So
go ahead, Wesley.
So Nick, if you are, because I've seen you put the 15 to 150 a couple times. So let's stick with your 15 to 150, but let's use an overarching industry and let's get specific. So you put small manufacturer, quick service, senior cares, et cetera, et cetera. What is the one industry that needs your services the most? That's first question. The second question is, which of those industries has the highest propensity to change? Right? So what you're looking for is the person that has the biggest problem and they want to fix it yesterday. And that's where you start. So if you want to start with the 15 through 150, that's okay, but you need to at least be industry specific. And remember, for 15 versus 50 versus 150, it's different, because at 50 employees, we know that that's when they have to provide health insurance. They have to start having some of these things in place that a 15-person employee doesn't. At 150, their biggest challenge is really going to be turnover. So if your product is really good helping people address turnover, instead of having such a broad, even though it can work for the whole range, who has the biggest pain and challenge? Right. Bigger employers, more turnover, right? And then which one of those industries is most beneficial? And the thing I want you to think about, I want you to start with one, double down on one. And I guarantee you, if you focus on one for 30 days, you are going to see results. You are going to become, because really what we're trying to do is we're building our thought leadership. Right? So you want to be that person that people think about with, I'm a 150-person employee at a manufacturing firm and I'm having trouble with turnover. I need Nick. That's what you want in the back of their mind. And there are enough people out there in that realm, like in that niche. Like, I didn't even put you in a geography, Nick. I'm just giving you manufacturers that have 150 people.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love that. And let's think about this. I had a business years ago, I have 15 and 20 employees. And the thing is, if I was dealing with Nick, odds are, as the owner, I was probably dealing with Nick. I wasn't big enough to have an HR person. Now, if somebody is 100 employees or more, odds are they probably have an HR person that might be handling that, Nick. So and hopefully this resonates with anybody or everybody here. Are you dealing with the business owner, or are you dealing with the HR person? Because the business owner, they're throwing on different hats all day, every day. 1 minute they're trying to be marketing. Next minute they're trying to do operations. The next minute they're trying to do HR. Next minute they're handling finances, talking to their accountant. The person in HR, they're just laser focused on HR. So again, I love what Wesleyan just said there. It's so critically important. Let's keep moving forward. We'll take a deeper dive here, Wesleyan. So what we want to do is we want to laser focus on who your soulmate is. Okay. So Wesleyan, I have a couple quick examples. You're familiar with my friend Jack here. This is one of my personas. I can't talk the talk if I'm not walking the walk. I actually hired my dear friend Gretchen. She's a local college professor. She's an expert at doing the buyer persona, and she actually created this for me. This is Jack Maskin. He is the owner of a $5 to $10 million manufacturing company. This is one of my soulmates. This was another soulmate that we created for a client of ours. This is Monica Ventes. Monica's in her mid-30s. She has 2 kids. You're going to find her on evenings or on the weekends at the soccer field, and she is hanging out on LinkedIn. Okay. Well, what's going on with Jack has totally different frustrations, challenges, goals, dreams. Jack is maybe at the later part of his career. He's thinking about exit strategy. Monica is climbing the corporate ladder. Man, she's on LinkedIn. She's worried about her reputation, all sorts of different aspects. But the thing is, with every decision that I'm making on my website and my social, I am trying to target and satisfy, nurture Jack. Okay. Does that make sense? So Wesleyan, let's talk about so many people, I'm like, hey, Wesleyan, I'm trying to, I'm Mr. E-commerce and I'm targeting the marketing person. My friend Marsha's here today. Marsha, you're my soulmate, but if I'm targeting the position, not the person, I'm targeting somebody in HR, I'm targeting somebody in finance. What am I missing by just focusing on the position as opposed to the person?
One thing is you're too generic. right? So if you know that, so if I say, oh, I'm just targeting all HR generalists at companies that have 50 employees, it's like, okay, yeah, that's great. But is this a male HR generalist? Is this a person who may be newly out of college? Is this like, what does this person care about? Because when we think about our content is very focused on the soulmate. So we want to have content where when we're writing, you may have a story about hair care products, right? Your natural hair care products and how well they work. But if you know that you're targeting a new mom, for instance, you may map that into your own personal story of when you were a new mom and you were looking for a product just like this. So understanding where that person is in life and their challenges, the things that they're actually going through, helps you target your messaging. It also helps you become more specific in talking about the right things, because saying I'm talking to an HR generalist versus I'm talking to a person who's been in their position and they're 50 years old, like they're going to be like, I know everything. I don't need you. So it's a lot harder sale.
That's right. That's right. And I absolutely love that. And Jacqueline, great comment here. She says, people love personal and friendly interactions. Of course we do. And it was like Jacqueline knew what slide was coming up next. Look what you did there, Jacqueline. Way to go. We want to talk about those emotional connections as we want to save, we want to make our soulmates the hero of the story, right? And I know that's cliche. People are, we talk about heroes and the hero state and rock stars and all that stuff, but it's true. The more that we can dedicate ourselves to making our soulmates the hero of the story, the better we're going to be. Wesleyan did a great job referencing Amazon earlier. I've been in e-commerce since 1995, long time, and I've been following Amazon since day one. Amazon does a thing, the most customer-centric company on the planet, like them or love them, hate them, whatever you stand on Amazon, they have what's called the empty chair. And what they do with the empty chair at their conference meetings, they have an empty chair. You know who's sitting in that empty chair? A fictitious customer. And they're constantly turning to that chair and they're asking that customer, how can we make your life better? How can we make your life easier? How can we just make you the hero of the story? And I'm going to say that it worked because Amazon is Amazon. Here's two more, just as we're going through this example, two more buyer personas. This was a client that I worked with last year. This is a great example here. They had Mario, the facilities manager. They had Taylor, the interior designer. And what we did is we took a deep, deep dive at understanding Taylor on the right here. What were her goals? What are her frustrations? What are her motivations? What social media is she hanging out at? What brands is she using? Because as we're putting out content, I want to understand her brands, her motivations, her frustrations, and that's how we would sing that song to Taylor. So as we keep moving forward, Wesleyan, let's get a little exercise going. Let's get everybody's fingers moving here. Guys, we're going to do a little exercise here. We want to identify your soulmate, your ideal buyer. Okay. Nick's been doing a great job. A number of you have been super active here. Let's drop a soulmate. Let's get a name. I want to know who, if they're a current customer, it could be just a first name, a current customer, an ideal customer, a dream customer, somebody that you've been targeting for a long time, or somebody that pays the mortgage. Drop them in the chat box. Wesleyan, let's talk about, like, you want to identify that person. Why do we want to know their name?
Because just like you show the Amazon empty chair, I need to have a Richard in my mind when I'm doing everything. And so you have the little picture, the name, and I'm like, okay, Richard, yep, these are the things that Richard likes. This is what Richard needs, right? Or this is what Amy needs, or this is what Amy wants. And as Jacqueline said, people buy from people. People don't buy from brands. People buy from people. A company as large as like an Amazon, yes, we buy from that company. Look how big it is. But even if we think about something like Costco, I go to Costco because of the people in there. If I see somebody in the aisles, they're going to help me. I'm not a big Walmart fan because I'm not like I don't like to have to find stuff myself, and I don't like the attitude they have. But some people don't care about that. They just want the low price. So which side of the equation does your buyer persona fall on? All right, Razul, the project engineer. All right. Who else we got?
Let's go, John. Where does your soulmate live, John? And again, we'd love participation here. It always makes our day knowing that you guys are here hanging out with us. Drop your ideal buyer, drop that soulmate. Again, it can be a first name with a little description like John just did. John, where does Rasul live? If you want to drop that in the chat box, we're going to run through a little exercise. We're going to create your buyer persona, your soulmate. He works specifically on the project and is the end user. John, what city, what state, what country, where's he hanging out at? Is he in New York? Is he in Pennsylvania? Is he in Pittsburgh? Where's he living at? So drop that in the chat box. And Wesley, that's what I want to come back to, these examples that we had here. Let me work backwards here. When working with this team, as a matter of fact, you know the Stand and Flow team, Jen, and I know you guys are always commenting on each other's LinkedIn posts. We would meet weekly, religiously, relentlessly. And these guys are, man, it was funny. They're doing a great job on LinkedIn, and they were super resistant to LinkedIn. They were all millennials. And, they're like, Link Kurt, they call me Uncle Kurt. And they're like, Uncle Kurt, LinkedIn is for old guys, blah, 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 blah. And what was funny, if you come to our LinkedIn workshop, I think we're doing LinkedIn in June here at Temple, Wesleyan. They sent me a note, hey, Uncle Kurt, you're right. LinkedIn works. And they landed this wonderful gig at a university in Baltimore. So what we want to do is when I was working with the team here at Santa Flow, every single meeting we sat there. I was just at an on-site meeting this morning. You know how I started the meeting, Wesleyan? They have 4 buyer personas. I pulled up the slide, the picture of all 4. It's Marine, it's Maintenance Murray, and it's Trevor Jr., the engineer, and Trevor Sr. They have a 60-year-old engineer, and then they have his son at 30. They have Marine, and we pull up those 4, and every meeting we are going through, what does Marine need right now? What does Maintenance Murray need right this minute? So Tom, our friend in Rochester, has Robert, safety manager for electric utility in New Jersey, mid-career.
That's good. I'm liking this. You guys are, I can see how the conversations coming through the chat are changing a little bit. We're getting more specific, right? Robert is a safety manager for electric utility in New Jersey, mid-career. And I'm going to push you, Tom. Has he worked in this industry for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? What does mid-career mean? Like, get specific as you can. Melody, who's a teacher, you said over 40 years old. So is she 40 or is she 45? Because women know that at 45, 46, life changes start happening. So you're a very different person at 40 than you are at 45. So be specific. And she's purchasing products for people around her. And so the question is going to be kind of like the why. And that's what we're going to dig into next. Like, why is that person doing these things?
Perfect. Okay. So let's keep moving forward. We got name, where do they live, how old? So we're hitting that hard. Income. Why understanding that? Why is that so important, Wesley?
Because if I'm selling a piece of chocolate that costs $10 per bite, I need to understand that somebody needs to be making at least 6 figures to buy a piece of chocolate for $10, right, Kurt?
That's just, dude, that's hysterical.
That's the inside joke.
Wesley, well, let's share it. So we had a client that they hand paint chocolate, each individual piece of chocolate. It's one of the most unique, highest end pieces of chocolate that you can ever find. And they paint them to the Northern Lights. Absolutely fascinating. So let's go there. Let's take it a little bit deeper. And again, like you use a car example, I believe earlier, right? Electric car. If somebody's going to buy I drive a Chevy, if somebody's driving a Lexus or a Mercedes or Rolls Royce, why is it so important understanding that different demographic and that different income level?
So this idea of income level, it actually runs deep. And it goes for B2C buyers as well as B2B buyers, because depending on the financial situation of the person you're calling on, their propensity for your cost is going to be different. So if I'm selling to a company and I'm selling to an HR generalist, or maybe I'm selling to a project manager. Let's say I'm Razul, the project engineer. Let's say he's a junior project engineer and he's making $50,000 a year. and you come to him and your solution costs $50,000 for 6 months, he's going to be like, oh, that's way too much money, because his brain is, I don't make that much in a year. There's no way my boss is going to approve this project or this thing I need because it's too expensive. So people do that automatically in their brain. So you have to understand where they are on the income spectrum, because it makes a difference in how you present pricing. So that $50,000 that I just presented to Radul, instead of saying it's $50,000 for 6 months, I say, oh, it's only $7,000 a month. It's only, I'm qualifying it. It's only $7,000 a month. And that number is smaller. So in his brain, he's like, oh, okay, I can get that approved. It's the same cost. So really understanding that is so important, not just for prospecting, but also in your sales cycle.
Yeah, that's perfect. We've got actually a question here from Jacqueline. Thank you, Jacqueline. Is it negative when a female states that she has a frustration when working with males, unless it's a sex-specific business?
Ooh,
What do you
I
think
love
about
this.
that one?
You want me to answer that?
I'm going to let that one go.
You're gonna let that one go, right?
Yeah, you take that one.
Okay, so a bit more context that I need to ask you, Jacqueline. So you're saying, and I want to make sure that you're saying as a business owner, like, men frustrate you to work with. And if you say that, that is absolutely okay, because that means that your market is women. If you work better with women, you work better with women. For me, there are certain types of people that I don't work well with, right? Okay. I think it was on one of your slides that you popped up, Kurt, on the buyer persona. So maybe that, is it here? So, but again, it is not bad to be, this is for you. Nobody sees it. You don't put out your buyer persona for the world to see. This is something that you keep in your own deck, and literally you think about it and you think about how to market your business. So if you say something like, okay, that you get frustrated when you're working with males, or your buyer gets frustrated when working with females, what that tells you in the way that you write, you have to take a more masculine tone. That means using more strong language, firm language, no emojis, no a bunch of exclamation points. When you have pictures, you can make sports analogies. That's why you have to be in their world. If that is your ideal client, then you really need to be in their world and speak their language. I hope that answered. Okay, you said thank you. All right, income conversation. When does a cost benefit analysis come into play? So Tom, that is a lot later into the sales cycle. When you think about cost benefits analysis, or even qualifying people. So one thing that I feel strongly on is you don't qualify people based on budget, right? So a lot of people say you qualify them based on budget versus on need versus timing. No. The way you qualify is, do they have a problem? For instance, I spoke at a summit a couple of weeks ago. They sent me the attendees list, and I literally told my customer success manager, I said, I want you to go through, and the only qualification is, do they have a sales team? Like, to me, it doesn't matter if they have budget, do they have a problem? Like, I'm not going to see that on there. So you just need to find a distinguishing characteristic for somebody to say, yep, they're qualified. Is it worth my time?
Yeah, great answer. I love that. Okay. All right, soulmate persona. Here's Nick again. Man, Nick,
Nick is awesome. On it. Nick is like, I am working today.
All right, soulmate persona. Michael, 40 years, third generation manufacturer of medical devices, shiny new MBA. I love it. Taking over the reins. He understands the real cost of vacancy, the real cost of wasting hours reviewing unqualified candidates, frustrated with Indeed, Zip, but can't justify 20% to a staffing firm. And all right,
can I do a mic drop? I just wanted to drop my phone for you, Nick. I love this. I love it. And so I just want to take a moment and recognize Nick, because when we first started about 75 minutes ago, Nick was like 15 to 150 employees, like anyone. And 75 minutes later, look at this persona. Nick is doing the work. And this is what I want everyone to understand. If you do the work, the outcome is going to come. So now Nick has this idea of who Michael is. So he knows Michael intimately. What can he do with this information? Nick needs to be on LinkedIn talking about how expensive it is to hire recruiters for people that make less than $30,000 a year. Nick needs to have a newsletter where he's talking about where he's stroking the ego of a newly minted MBA. He also needs to talk about having a family business and the pressures that come with walking in your father or grandfather or mother or grandmother's shadows, right? So those things matter to Michael. He's not necessarily thinking about like, okay, I need to fill these positions and I'm so frustrated, but he doesn't know to search for AI powered sourcing tool, right? Which is what you're doing. So what you've given yourself is you've given content, you've given language, you've given the things that actually matter to Michael, because that is what he's focused on. He's focused on his own challenges, not your product.
Man, that was good. Another moment of silence. What is that? Our second? I think that's our second moment of silence today. So, man, Nick, I'm getting round of applause, guys. That was so. Hopefully, this was helpful. Hopefully, this was fruitful. Would love for other comments in the chat box from you guys. And Wesleyan, kudos to you. I just want to recap what you said there. Okay, Nick, freshly minted with an MBA. Taking over mom and dad, grandma and grandpa's third generation business. That's a lot of pressure. You know, that's a lot of pressure that comes with that business. Understanding that, trying to fill that CNC job, there's all sorts going on. And what he did is he took your advice, he nailed it down into a specific industry, and that's our manufacturing world. So Nick, God bless you. You did a great job. A student today. So well done, my friend. Okay.
Anyone else? We want to help you. I kept pushing Nick and see, so I'll just, Nick, people like Nick are what I call my kind of soulmates. Like they take the pushing and they keep going. Some people say, it's too much, Wesleyan, but Nick is like, no, I'm going to get this. I'm going to figure this out. And so I want you guys to challenge yourself. Take what you think your soulmate is and the challenges you have and just drop it in the chat.
So let's run with this, Wesleyan. So for either Raul or for Nick here with Michael, where's Michael hanging out at? If Nick wants to find Michael, where's he going to find Michael?
Michael is 100% of the time on LinkedIn. He might pop on Twitter. He uses Facebook only for personal stuff. Like if you send him a message on Facebook about business, you're going to get blocked. But on LinkedIn, this is where, and let's get a little bit deeper in Michael. So he is the third generation CEO. He is living in footsteps of previous family members. He is a new leader. He has all of this new book knowledge that he's trying to apply and push down the throats of his employees. So he's trying to figure out, how do I match what I learned in school versus the reality of this organization that still seems like they're stuck in the 60s or the 50s, right? Yeah. So he's having internal challenges with himself. He's not necessarily a millennial, right? He's like, I think he's a Gen Xer, but because of the way that those two generations overlap, he has some slight millennial tendencies, right? And so what those slight millennial tendencies mean is he wants fast returns. He wants things to move quick. And because of the way he wants things to move and knowing in the manufacturing industry, nothing moves slow, he feels kind of stuck. So Nick, when you're talking about or speaking to Michael within your content that you're writing, when you're speaking to Michael in newsletters or videos, whatever you're doing, you have to really play up the cutting edge, the newness of it. how this is disrupting everything within the recruiting community, because that's what he wants to hear. He has power to implement this.
Mm-hmm. Man, and you know what? It's like Nick knew the slides coming up. This is absolutely perfect. So, all right, so let's go here, Wesley. Let's go. I'm going to answer that in 1 second, Nick. What I'd like to do, and I'm going to apologize if I missed this, Wesley, but we talked about, a lot of challenges and frustrations that Michael's facing. Okay. What are Michael's dreams?
Mm-hmm.
What are his aspirations? Does he want to take the business way past what mom and dad and grandma and grandpa ever dreamed of? Is he, does he have young children? Is he saving for college, trying to tuck away to his 401k? Does he want to double, triple the business? What's going on with Michael, do you think?
Michael wants to, during his reign within this company, what his dream would be is to have a new device released and FDA approved under his reign. If we're talking about a medical device manufacturer, like that is the holy grail of a medical device manufacturer, having a device developed and approved by the FDA. So that is his long-term goal that he may not even be sharing openly, because there's so many things that he's fixing within the organization today.
That's perfect. So what I'm going to jump ahead real quick here and I'll come back. Okay. Nick, God bless you, man. Because I didn't know if we'd have time to get here. And I know we're running tight on time. I just want to touch on this. And so Garba told us that this was the advanced class. Normally Wesleyan and I don't go here, but because it's the advanced class, we're going to go here, Wesleyan. So Nick, you're asking about manufacturing associations, manufacturing publications. I couldn't encourage you to quadruple down hard enough. What we like to call those organizations, those agencies, those distributors, those groups, those peeps, we call it the Soulmate 100. And so this is completely relevant for everybody on the call. My friend Tom, Marsha, if you're still with us, Derek, everybody that's on the call, Lenny, John. As a matter of fact, quite a few of my friends that are here today are connected. We are connected through what's called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Wesleyan and I are very blessed, fortunate. We work with a number of manufacturing extension partnerships throughout the United States here. Tom and John, we are connected through Fuse Hub, which is the New York State MEP, Manufacturing Extension Partnership. The MEP network is mine and Wesleyan's Soulmate 100. Okay. What that means is by here doing a workshop at Temple University, which SBDC is also what we consider a Soulmate 100. When we do a webinar workshop at SBDC, they find wonderful, incredible folks like yourselves that come into a room like us. We want to deliver phenomenal program. We give you guys, we never take this for granted, man. We give you guys 110%. We know your time is precious. We want to deliver value, and we are blessed and fortunate to work with SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers, and MEPs. Okay. Our friends in Chicago, they're through IMEC, the Illinois Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Reason I'm going there is with Nick's, what I want everybody here to think about, who is your Soulmate 100? Who would open up the door to 5, 10, 15, 20 of your potential soulmates? Wesleyan, as you're trying to target folks with, I'm targeting smaller manufacturers. You're targeting folks that have a sales team. That by definition is a larger company. Who are some of your Soulmate 100s?
So when I think about my Soulmate 100s, I think about large distribution companies, things like Graybar, large food manufacturers or food distribution companies like Cisco, things like that. And what I do is I use a 10-10 rule. So I get 10 organizations or 10 areas that I want to target. And then I find 10 people within each of those. So for instance, if I say I want to target the Pennsylvania MEP, I'm going to find 10 people within the Pennsylvania MEP to find. Or I can say I'm going to target MEPs in general, and I list 10 different states down, right? So really what you want to think, so I think you said manufacturing association or publication. So that's perfect, Nick. One of those things could be, maybe you say I'm going to target the manufacturing association within, I'm going to do Like I just said, manufacturing exchange partnerships, and then you list 10 states down that you want to specifically target, and then you go find the people within that. Or you can say, I'm going to target the Pennsylvania MEP, if you will, and then I'm going to find 10 people within the MEP. But you need to really get specific about what are those 10 buckets. And I say 10-10 because you'll have your 10 buckets, and I'm a recovering chemist, so I'm an Excel spreadsheet person. So I have my 10 buckets on my spreadsheet. I have my 10 people. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to see where's my business coming from, who is most engaged with me. And if I find, oh, the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, I got 5 people who accepted my LinkedIn request, who are commenting. I want to double down on that. And I'm going to build that list from 10 to 20 or 30. And oh, the MEPs, I'm not getting anybody there. So I'm going to not focus as much on trying to attract those people. So that's why I say you do the 10-10 rule. And again, this is something that you do over time. Don't go find 10 organizations and write 10 people down and try to connect with all of them or figure out what they're doing straight away.
I absolutely love that. So we'll wind down on this. So what I want you guys to think about, I like this example. So if you were manufacturing, we love manufacturers. If you're manufacturing a lamp, I want you to think about who are other products in that world that are not necessarily competitors that are going to supply other types of products. So what would that include? Maybe a light bulb, right? Or how about this room right here? How about the lampshade, the light bulb, maybe the pillow person, the bed person? So think about any of the organizations, any of the agencies, any of the peeps that would help open up the door that you could collaborate with. Now, Nick, that is a wonderful example. Let's talk about the manufacturing associations for a second there. So we have our friends in 3D printing, John. We have Derek and Marsha in LED lighting. If you're trying to target specific manufacturing associations, maybe it's like the local, the Greater Philadelphia Manufacturers Association. Maybe you mentioned medical supplies. So maybe it's the medical, industrial medical manufacturing association. We'll find out what group or where Michael is hanging out at. Check out Michael on LinkedIn. See where is he, or if it's a Michelle, whatever your demographic, whatever your soulmate is, where are they posting? So Jacqueline, I think, was Jacqueline our inclusion friend? Again, think about where your soulmate is hanging out. What did Wesleyan say in the most polite way possible? Stalk them a little bit, right? Just find out where they're hanging out, find out what groups do they belong to on LinkedIn or on Facebook, join those groups, start hanging out where they're hanging out and join those organizations, those associations. Let's back up a second here. We'll come back here, guys. Okay. How are we doing on time? I think we're winding down. We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, 4 minutes. And I want anybody who has any final questions, pop it in the Q&A or the chat so we can answer it live for you. We want to be a resource. Kurt dropped our LinkedIn. Shoot us a message. We're happy to connect.
Guys, so
please, just a quick one before we
go
continue.
ahead.
I just want to inform our wonderful attendees that I just posted a 30-second survey about today's webinar. Remember, we at Temple SPDC always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us to improve on the services we provide to you guys at a no cost. So kindly take 30 seconds of your time and please help us to fill out the survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Garba. Appreciate that. And guys, what I did, I dropped in the chat box, I dropped my LinkedIn profile. I would be honored, privileged to connect with you. I dropped Wesleyan's profile. She would absolutely love to connect with you. We have an absolute free tool. It is a buyer persona worksheet. You click on that link, you're going to land on my website, no strings attached. I'm not going to stalk you, hound you, whatever, but you can go through and actually fill out your own buyer persona. Feel free. It's just a free service that we provide to you for spending time with us. Feel free to take advantage of that. We'd love to have you use that tool, that resource. Man, Jacqueline, you mentioned this, and Wesleyan, I am so honored, so thrilled. Again, we've talked a lot about manufacturing. We do a weekly LinkedIn Live. It's every Friday. I want to give a little shameless plug. If anybody is watching, any history buffs out there, I'm a huge history buff. On the History Channel, there's a program called The Machines That Built America. And it shows like Caterpillar and all these wonderful entrepreneurs that changed the trajectory of America with great machines. There's another program called The Food That Built America. on that program, one of the commentators is a gentleman. His name is Dr. Uhuru Williams. Dr. Uhuru Williams was on the Jackie Robinson. We were talking about baseball earlier. He was part of the Jackie Robinson Foundation. He's a PhD professor at University of St. Thomas. He's speaking for us this Friday. So I dropped that in the chat box. Would love to have you join us there. Nick has got to run. Guys, I'm going to let everybody go. Here's one of my favorite quotes. I love Lucille Ball. I'm just going to share this with you guys. I'm not funny. What I am is brave. So guys, thank you for joining us today. Wesleyan, why don't you take it away? Give a little parting thought with our crowd here today.
So you heard a lot of information today. And what I would ask you to do is take one thing and work on it intentionally this week. So whatever that is, if it is defining who the buyer persona is, if it's finding one of your competitors and trying to work through your SWOT, whatever the one thing is, I really want you to focus on that.
Okay.
Awesome. Darba, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got less than a minute to just wrap it up. Before we go, just want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for keeping it a day with us. If you remember from the beginning of the presentation, I did say today is a good day. Why? Because I've got two wonderful speakers. And of course, I'm sure you guys can attest to what I actually said from the onset. Wesley and Kurt, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I love the way everything flowed. Last but not the least, of course, I want to thank each and every members of the Temple Small Business Development Center for their usual support and encouragement. Without them, this webinar wouldn't have come to pass. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.